John Deere is teaming up with SpaceX, plus news from the latest WASDE report, and a lot more on today's episode of the Arkansas AgCast, which starts right now.
You're listening to the Arkansas AgCast, where we discuss the latest news, trends, and issues impacting Arkansas farmers and ranchers. Our show is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation and hosted by Jason Brown and John Nickman.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
We're back another week.
We are. It's chilly today.
It is.
It is Thursday.
It's probably chilly where you're all at, too.
God bless all of you who have been home with children for the week. I know a lot of schools have been out this week for that winter weather that we talked about and previewed last
we
week's
did.
show.
We predicted it. You heard it here first.
I said previewed. I don't know if we can predict. I don't know if we can predict what's for lunch.
The AgCast Storm Prediction Center.
We're very rarely wrong.
We got a spinoff. We're just doing weather. I could get into that.
Yeah.
We're both dads.
Yeah.
All three of us are dads. We've got a grandfather in the room, so
Absolutely.
we're primed for some good weather watching.
Yeah. You know, I come from a long line of people from Oklahoma who watch tornadoes come in on the porch. Yeah. So
There's a story there.
Yeah, it's here. It's here.
It's here. Oh man, I do like a good weather report.
Yeah. Well, I remember when that tornado went through Stuttgart. I was there, 08 or something.
Mm-hmm.
We all got in the bathroom, and Dad stayed out in the front yard and watched it.
And
And I was the last person in the bathroom, and I just out of habit, I locked the door. Dad started knocking on the door. He was like, "Why is it locked?" I was like, I opened it, and he was like, "You really think that tornado wasn't gonna stop that locked door?" I was like,
no, it's just
habit, you know. But that's one thing I always remember, that tornado.
That's pretty funny. Were you guys impacted by that storm?
It pulled a old oak tree out of our front yard.
Oh, really?
Just laid it over, and the shingles and stuff kind of flew off, but we weren't close enough to it.
Yeah.
It hit the town pretty hard though.
I don't remember that.
You could still go through Stuttgart, and I could point to you like little different pieces of how it affected it, and things you can still see. Like going through Mayflower, you can still see same thing.
Yeah. I think about that every time I come to work. 4:30 at Rodney Parham. If I come that way,
Yep.
that landscape that just looks like the trees have been stripped out of it and stuff. Even when they're starting to rebuild houses now. There's always a clog up on the the Rodney Parham exit on 4:30.
Yeah.
Every morning and it's always tractor trailers with roofing materials on the back of them.
Yeah.
Or construction materials. And I always think about that. Like here we are, I guess a month or 2 months and a couple of weeks from the 1 year anniversary of that storm. And they're still building. The restaurants in Breckenridge Village just opened last week. A restaurant did for the first time.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about, but
Yeah, I took us a different direction. I'm sorry.
you did.
That never happens on this show.
Never. That's the first time it's ever happened.
That's funny. Well, speaking of weather, we were home one day for a holiday. I guess it snowed Sunday here in Little Rock.
Yes.
And then we were home Monday for a holiday, and then Tuesday the building remained closed. Did I get that right? No. We just had a late start, or did we?
No, we had a late start on.
No, we
closed.
worked. We worked from home Tuesday.
We had a late start yesterday, which was Wednesday.
Yeah. Did y'all get out and play in it any?
We did.
Anything?
We made the mistake of not putting gloves on Anthony.
Uh-oh.
He had his whole jumpsuit on.
Yeah.
And boots, everything. Had his hood up. Had his little electric 4-wheeler he got for Christmas. A few minutes out there.
Is he pulling you on a car hood?
No, not yet. I felt like I was in Stuttgart though. But he tripped and fell, and his hands got cold, and they just got colder and colder. And by the time it was over, it was ruined.
It was so cold though. If you got any kind of damp, it was.
How cold was
balling.
it?
But yeah, that was about it. The dog, Bonnie, she loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's rolling around it. She's going to be mad when it's gone. That's for sure.
Yeah, our dog is loaded too.
Should I be worried? You lock your dad out of the house
Yeah.
in the middle of a tornado,
Mm-hmm.
and you take your newborn out.
I sound
With
like
no
a pretty
gloves.
selfish
No gloves.
person, don't I?
It's
Yeah, I need to be more concerned about my family members.
That sounds like you're getting dressed. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Get in the car.
Yeah. What's he got on a diaper? Bring him.
He'll be all right. He'll be fine. No, he won't.
I mean, it was 0, but sure, no gloves.
Yeah, my wife was like, we should put gloves on. I'm like, yeah, we probably
Yeah, no doubt. Were you wearing gloves?
It's 10 degrees out here.
Were you wearing gloves?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was
because that was going to be
sweatpants
another.
and a hoodie and a
There you
jacket.
go. You're vindicated.
Really?
Yeah, and house shoes.
We gotta take you shopping.
No, I'm just hot natured. Like the cold weather doesn't bother me like it does
Really?
people like you.
I had snow pants on and like 3 hoodies.
Yeah. No, I mean, like if I was going to be out in it all day, yeah, I'd dress for the weather. But no, I wasn't. So
That's
I was
funny.
comfortable.
How are things at your place?
Everything's good.
Just you and Star? Or did anybody come over and invade?
We had a
looking for snacks?
neighbor friend, photographer, that we hang out with some, and he came over to do a couple of projects with me, and he's hilarious. He walks the river trail in shorts and flip flops. That's his usual attire.
Yeah.
He just added a coat.
He
He knocks on the door. He's wearing shorts and flip flops and a coat. And I'm like, man, aren't you cold? And he's like, no, man, it feels great.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a good time. We just stayed at the house.
Yeah. We went. We tried to sled. We usually can sled on our street. It's a hill, but this powdery snow and the way it was. I learned one thing. There is a distinct difference. You need 2 types of sleds because usually we always get the, the slushy kind of snow. It's pretty wet. What were all the meteorologists saying? They were saying this is snow good for sledding, but not snowballs and snowman or whatever. I don't know if y'all heard that, but I heard that I feel like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Well, our sled apparently is not compatible with this dry. So it's one of those like saucer type sleds, and so we go out on the street, and try and go as nothing. So we went and joined up with some friends at the elementary school in our neighborhood, which is known for sledding.
Yeah.
Big hill in the back, and a very kind lady there had a sled that was like greased up National Lampoon style, man, and we had a blast with that thing.
Cool.
But yeah, that's the only day we got out though. We stayed locked in pretty much the whole time.
It was a weird thing. It's not that weird, but it stood out to me as weird.
Yeah,
I had a neighbor ask me if they could borrow a cup of sugar.
yeah.
Never, you see that all the time in the movies, right? But I've never
Had somebody actually. That's funny.
And my wife was even like, "What do they need a cup of sugar for?" It, And it's like, I guess they're baking something. I didn't ask.
Yeah,
But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
yeah. That is
Yeah.
interesting. I like that actually.
We
We need to get back to
the
that.
other neighbor had beat us to it already, though. By the time I responded to the text,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, that was the first time as a homeowner anybody had ever asked me to.
Borrow an ingredient.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that though. I've never done that. I'll say.
never been on either side of that exchange.
No, once last Christmas we forgot something that we needed for Christmas dinner, and I ordered it through DoorDash to be delivered because we already had family showing up at the house. But I wonder now if my neighbors had that, and I could have saved
They could have.
$12 for a package of French onion soup.
When you go
mix.
home today, ask them. I just checking.
Yeah. Could you mind giving me a monthly update on the kitchen inventory? So
That's right.
that's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It's going to get cold again tomorrow. Another chance of winter weather on Monday. It looks like schools are closing tomorrow. I just got that text. If you saw me checking my watch, at least North Little Rock, which means Little Rock and North Little Rock usually do the same thing.
Yeah. Having Anthony at home all day, every day, love my child to death. Don't get me wrong.
That's a lot of work.
But boy, well, we had to take him out to dinner the other night just to get out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And when he went to dinner, he just sat there. It was the quietest and stillest he's been since it snowed for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, at the house, he's been bouncing off the walls.
Wow,
just
man.
yeah, just he gets cabin fever for sure.
He was
funny.
behaving.
Yeah,
He's afraid you're going to lock him out.
yeah,
That's it. He's like, man, this guy will leave me in this high chair and walk out of this place.
I'm going out there without gloves, Dad.
He'll leave me and the bill right here at this table and walk out of
That's
here.
right. That means business. I'm going to behave tonight.
Hey, if he
Yeah.
sent me outside in 0 degree with no gloves, there's no telling what he'll do in this restaurant.
yeah, you're paying. If not, you're doing dishes.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but we've got a lot to cover today. I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize if I sniff or I have to take a break. But anyhow, let's kind of dive right in here and get going. Just a heads up, again, I know we've talked about this the past couple weeks, but the 2024 Arkansas Grown Conference and Expo will be held January 25th through 27th at the Hot Springs Convention Center. We will be there on site recording one of those days. I think that's still kind of up in the air, which day we'll actually be there, either Thursday or Friday, I think.
Yes, it'll be one of those 2 days for sure.
Yeah, and we are going to talk with one of the keynote speakers about, the things that, specialty crop growers need to know. Do you want to?
Yeah, probably that along with emphasis on beginning farmers and ranchers and what resources are out there for them and how this particular person can help them with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we wanted to mention the name of our guest speaker yet, but
Well, it's up to you.
we'll leave it as a surprise.
All right.
Yeah.
But I think that new farmer piece is pretty interesting because I think you may tell me otherwise, but anecdotally, I would think that you see more new and beginning farmers in the specialty crop space than probably anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, it's
a lower, not to say it's a low barrier of entry,
easier
but it's
entry level.
You don't have to live
that make sense?
with hundreds of acres. And,
in a $2 million equipment loan.
Right, right. That's what I mean.
You can get into specialty crop production and make a living at it with a backyard tiller at the beginning and hand picking everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And this conversation will be a little bit more geared toward those people trying to get into specialty crop growing, but maybe also some livestock. The conversations I've had with them, they're also working in that, and they're working in every single aspect of agriculture. It's just with this conference, that's probably what the conversation will lead into, is mostly for specialty crops, locally grown, produced, sold, direct market, direct consumer type stuff.
Yeah. Well, good deal. So we'll be putting this show on live from there, or not live, but from that conference. We'll be interviewing the keynote, one of the keynote speakers from there, and so on and so forth. So, that'll be next week, I guess.
Yeah.
And then don't forget also the A-State Agribusiness Conference, which is scheduled for February the 7th at Fowler Hall in Jonesboro, the Fowler Center rather. And then a reminder about the eQuip application from USDA. We talked about this on the regular show last week. I believe on Tuesday we put out a deep dive with Alvin Peer about that topic. But tomorrow is that info session that we teased. We have added the Zoom link for that info session to the show notes from the deep dive with Alvin earlier this week. So jump in there and find that Zoom link, attend that info session tomorrow if you're interested. And then most importantly, the application window for the eQuip, and there's 3 categories there: the high tunnel, the soil health, and the energy piece. If you're interested in applying, you can apply beginning January 22nd. That period is open for 30 days. You can reach out to your local USDA office if you need to get more information, but please take advantage of that funding. It's out there. Also, a note, The 2024 Arkansas Ag Woman of the Year nominations are now open. The requirements are pretty simple. Got to be a resident of Arkansas for more than a year, 18 years or older, involved in the agriculture industry here in the state, and you can nominate someone at arwomeninag.org. Excuse me. So go take a look at that. Again, apologies today. And then I think you've got one more conference before we dig into the news.
Yeah. So January 24th, USDA will be putting on its Path to Prosperity Conference, and it will be located at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and it starts at 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's just here's a little snippet of kind of the intro of what the meeting's offering at the conference.
Yeah.
The United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, and the Small Business Administration, or SBA, have partnered to provide individuals, small businesses, including agricultural enterprises, farmers and ranchers, and urban and rural communities useful information, tools, resources, and an opportunity to engage in dynamic discussions intended to create economic progress. So this kind of conference is going to be more geared towards, again, like what I was talking about earlier, small businesses, small farms, et cetera, and what kind of resources are out there for people in those areas to take advantage of.
Good deal.
There's a lot of heavy hitter speakers going to be at that conference. I think DQ Fields is one of them.
Nice.
There's a few other university people there, and then also people from USDA, et cetera. I think Senator John Bozeman's going to speak there too. So,
excellent.
Should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a USDA's Path to Prosperity Conference, January 24th at UA Little Rock.
Correct.
All right, well, let's dig on into the news here. As you may know, the first WASDE report of 2024 was released after our recording last week. I think we even referenced that. So we wanted to circle back and bring you the latest data from USDA. The headline here is that corn and soybean production numbers for the U.S. got a slight increase in the latest report. Let's dig in a bit further. Corn yields were raised to a new U.S. yield record at just over 177 bushels per acre. Soybean yields were bumped to a 50.6 bushel per acre national average. The yield increases accounted for an overall production increase for both crops, with corn coming in over 15 billion bushels and soybeans just over 4 billion bushels. The outlook for 2023-24 rice in the U.S. this month is for slightly higher supplies, unchanged domestic use, lower exports, and higher ending stocks. The NASS crop production 2023 summary estimated all rice production at 218.3 million hundredweight, down about 1.5 million from the previous estimate. Moving over to animal protein, red meat and poultry production for 23 was raised from last month due to higher beef, pork, and broiler production in the fourth quarter. Changes in the estimates reflected November production data and preliminary estimates of slaughter numbers and weights for December. And egg production is raised based on production and flock data. We also saw cotton forecast for 2023-24 down a bit at 342,000 bales lower. That's based on lower production, exports, and ending stocks, largely due to reductions in Texas. All of this will likely have implications in the marketplace, and with that said, now's a great time to sign up for Tyler Oxner's weekly Futures Update newsletter.
Absolutely.
You can reach out to him to do that.
Yeah. You can also reach out to anybody else in the department, and they'll get you in contact with Tyler.
Yeah.
Send us an email. So he puts out a lot of good information. And WASDE is usually a big part of that.
Every Friday afternoon.
Every Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep. As up to date as we can possibly give it to you.
That's it.
Moving right along, John Deere and SpaceX have announced a new partnership. Did you know about this?
No, I did not.
So this goes into my GPS background, or John Deere Geek Squad, as we called ourselves. This week, Successful Farming reported that John Deere and SpaceX have entered into an agreement to provide satellite communications, or SATCOM.
Oh, that sounds official.
Service. Yeah. Almost like MI6 or CIA kind of stuff. But or like I said, SATCOM service to farmers in the U.S. and Brazil. SpaceX's Starlink network will provide farmers who traditionally battle with low connectivity issues an opportunity to fully leverage precision agriculture technologies within their machines. To access the Starlink constellation, John Deere dealers will install a ruggedized. I've never seen that word before.
I have not either.
And we had a long conversation in the office this morning if that was a real word. So if you have any thoughts, is ruggedized a real word?
I think it's a good adjective for you.
To describe me, huh?
This is John McMahon, my ruggedized co-host.
He's the ruggedized one.
Nice.
But anyways, the ruggedized Starlink terminal on compatible machines, along with a 4G LTE JD-Link modem to connect to the machine, or connect the machine to the John Deere Operations Center. With this new equipment installed, farmers will be able to fully access technologies such as autonomy, real-time data sharing, remote diagnostics, enhanced self-repair solutions, and machine-to-machine communication. Mike Cool, John Deere Senior Product Manager for Connected Fleet, was quoted saying, "We estimate 25% of crop land in the U.S. has varying levels of poor connectivity, and up to 70% in Brazil has is very little connectivity."
Wow.
The importance of these rural areas and what they're doing to feed and clothe and provide infrastructure for the globe is ultra imperative for humankind, and that's where we found this solution is needed and necessary. John Deere's SATCOM solution will be available through a limited release for the U.S. and Brazil in the second half of 2024. And I just had this weird feeling when I was reading this article that like they were putting somebody on the moon. And that's the way it
John Deere.
read. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there has been a lot of work. I'm not saying they've done it, obviously, but there has been a lot of work on crop production in outer space.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the International Space Station?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen
Things
a little
like
bit of that.
Yeah.
But, I think what this really boils down to is not only are machines able to talk to each other now and communicate with each other, but they also have to have an internet connection to send information to say you're the farmer with an app, a JD Link app, and you can see where all your machines are. You can see what they're doing in that field, who's on that machine, et cetera, et cetera. And if you don't have internet, if you don't have a cell tower that's close to the farm, then it's impossible to use all these technologies.
Right.
And it comes with your tractor. So, like, if you do buy this tractor and you don't have the internet connection, you're not able to fully use the equipment that you've paid for. So, I think that's pretty cool. But
I do too. IoT, Internet of Things here, which has been, pretty big in manufacturing and of course has came on, within the ag industry. But IoT is not very helpful without the I.
Yeah.
Which is that internet connection.
Yeah.
We know that Starlink has done a really good job of bringing that connectivity in these rural areas.
I wonder if have they fully opened up, because originally they were selling just like their little camper RV Starlink satellite. Mm-hmm. And then they weren't opening up to households. Like you could go buy that, but it's not like something installed at your house. Have they opened it to that extent yet? Do you know?
So I've looked at it a little bit, mostly for the camping piece.
Yeah.
And I believe what I have seen is there's really three models. One is what I would say is sort of the mobile unit. You can, once you get to where you're going, you can put it up and take it down when it's time to leave. Number two is the more permanent solution, which would be a residential application. And then there's a third that is essentially connectivity while you move. So imagine this is a motorhome, what most of us would call a motorhome. Yeah. Those of us who camp more might call it a Class A. You would have to have that hardware in order to keep connectivity while you're driving down the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a stationary but mobile unit, a stationary unit for residential, and then a clearly mobile unit within. I mean, this is not a Starlink commercial, but so I assume that would be that third piece, that strictly mobile unit is kind of what they're tapping into.
You know a lot about this. You getting kickbacks or?
No, I just have missed a lot of good football games and sports events because we've been camping in a place with no cell signal.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, let's take a short break. and hear a bit about what Farm Bureau membership can do in your community.
Your Arkansas Farm Bureau membership supports the work we do on behalf of Arkansas farmers, ranchers, and communities around the state. A $40 annual Farm Bureau membership makes a difference in your neighborhood. From youth leadership programs and academic scholarships to hunger relief and disaster support, you can make a difference and be a champion for your community. Join at arfb.com.
All right, let's get back to it with some cattle pricing data from George Jarrett at Talk Business and Politics.
Okay.
George opens up this article by noting what many of you already know. Cattle producers have been hit with turbulent conditions for several years with low prices, higher input costs, and, at least in the last couple of years, multiple periods of drought.
Oh, yeah.
Over 2023, cattle prices in futures and cash markets for steers and calves made a big improvement over 2022. Jared reports that by November 23, prices for medium and large number one steer calves weighing 500 to 600 pounds were more than $80 per hundredweight higher than the same time in 2022, and more than $100 higher than the average from 2017 to 2021.
Wow.
Jared spoke to James Mitchell, extension economist here in Arkansas, who said that those who saw the benefits of high prices were likely the ranchers with access to good grazing and forage. He also noted that about 75% of Arkansas was impacted by drought conditions last year, which had an impact on cattle production. For reference, Arkansas has more than 23,000 cattle farms, accounting for just over half of all farms in Arkansas, and we rank 11th in the country for cattle production. Now, these drought conditions were not exclusive to Arkansas. As we know, we saw similar conditions in several other cattle-producing states, according to James Mitchell, and we've reported on that here too, which resulted in shrinking or liquidating herds because of lack of forage options. That brought tighter supplies, which may be a driving factor in price increases because supply and demand. There it is. It's been a while. First one of the year.
Felt good.
All that said, we asked Arkansas Farm Bureau ag economist Jake Cartwright about these pricing numbers, and he brought us back down to earth a little bit.
Oh, he does that.
According to Jake, the average price for beef 10 years ago was $5.04 a pound. Mm-hmm. The average price for beef today, according to the most recent USDA data, is $7.85 a pound. Now, that represents a 55% increase in the average price of beef in the last 10 years.
Yes.
However, according to Jake, when adjusted for inflation, today's prices are the equivalent of paying $5.33 in January 2014. That's less than a 6% increase in actual cost over the last 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, 30 cents, 31 cents difference?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, we went from adjusting for inflation, you're going from $5.04 to $5.33.
Yeah.
So, Jared's reporting noted that in January, USDA reported the total U.S. beef cattle inventory was at its lowest since 1962, declining more than 3% from last year to 28.9 million head and an entire cattle inventory of 89.3 million head. According to this story, Mitchell said that he believes the forthcoming USDA cattle inventory report, which is set to be released on the 31st of this month, will reflect a fourth consecutive year of contracting cattle supply in the U.S.
Yeah.
So another drop for the fourth consecutive year. I think it might be a good idea to invite Jake to the show when that report comes out after, I guess in February, since the report comes out the 31st, to come on the show and talk to us a little bit about what those inventory numbers look like and what that means for farmers.
Yeah, he'd be a good one to speak on that for sure.
Yeah. Thought that was pretty interesting. So when you first look at this story, you say, hey, look, cattle prices are up. That's great. But when you look at it as a whole, maybe not so great. And Jake's got more data on what that means profitability-wise, price margins, profit margins, things like that for farmers.
Yeah.
That he might be willing to
He's
share.
been working on a lot of that stuff in our department. And He knows what he's talking about for sure. And I mean, James Mitchell's another one that's a great wealth of knowledge on the subject. And I'm not going to argue with either one of them, to say the least.
Probably pretty smart.
Well, I got one more story for y'all.
Awesome.
Whether you want to hear it or not. So, Luis Ribera, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, published an article in Southern Ag Today about the U.S. potentially having a trade deficit. And I thought it was an interesting read. I will warn you, it's not any groundbreaking news, but it did have me think a little bit differently about ag trade, exports, imports, etc.
Oh, nice. Okay.
According to Ribera, historically, U.S. agricultural trade has experienced a trade surplus, which means exports are higher than imports. Additionally, if you look at the USDA Foreign Agricultural Service, or FAS, Global Agricultural Trade System, GATS, there has only been 2 years where the U.S. experienced a trade deficit where imports were higher than exports. That would be 2019 and 2022. And I should have prefaced that with saying since 1980.
Okay.
There's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
And those 2 years have been 2019 and 2022. And I say 1980 because this USDA reporting only went back to 1980.
Okay. Yeah.
According to his article. So those 2 years, right? However, USDA FAS expects that 2023 will show a trade deficit and that the deficit will increase over time. In 2022, the trade deficit was $3.5 billion and is expected to be $16.7 billion and $30.5 billion in 2023 and 24, respectively. So here's the kicker. As I'm sure you can tell, the deficit or surplus is being measured by value and not by volume.
Okay.
And so lies Ribera's point that maybe it isn't being measured accurately. Quoting Ribera here, the U.S. has never experienced a trade deficit and is very far from experiencing one where exports to imports ratio has been 3.2 over the last 10 years. He continues on by suggesting that we should be looking at the actual products that the U.S. exports and imports. Our main exports, which we probably already know here, soybeans, corn, and wheat. And they are sold mostly in bulk, right? On the other hand, the main agricultural products imported in the U.S., can you guess what they are?
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
So
household products.
You're close. They're more consumer-oriented products, direct to the consumer, with higher values. So each individual item is more expensive, right? For example, distilled spirits, wine products, beer, so mainly alcohol.
I was going to say that's
as well as I didn't believe. I was surprised to see this, as well as high-value fresh produce such as fresh fruits and vegetables.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. So these particular products are much higher in value than our exported exported products, and vice versa when they're measured by volume and not by value.
So no pun intended. It's not apples to oranges necessarily. Seriously, I mean that. No pun intended. It's not. Yeah. I mean it's very different.
Yeah. So like I said, not the most just groundbreaking. Gotta hear this news today, but I thought it was another good example of economics and in the way you view it or measure it. And that happens a lot in our I should say my industry. If we're talking about this room.
I would also think about. I mean, comment and call me an idiot, and that's okay. I probably deserve it. But one of those products, on the export side or on the import side, you're much closer to retail pricing.
Yeah,
I mean, you're at a wholesale price probably, maybe, but I mean, you're nowhere near that. I would assume on the export side.
Yeah, on the export, you're selling
soybean, corn, and wheat.
Barges and tanks full of.
Right.
Soybeans.
I mean, I think you're a level or two away from wholesale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's the point he's making is that if you're measuring it by monetary value, yes, that shows to be a deficit. But if you look at it in volume and how much we physically export and just
what is that product going to do next?
It'll there's no telling what it'll go into, but we're shipping out more volume than we're bringing in.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I like that.
But like these individual products are more expensive than what we're actually exporting.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyways, sorry if you were looking for some groundbreaking news, like I said, but
to me that was really interesting.
It made me stop and think. So
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it made you stop and think too.
Yeah, I bet you're going to make us stop and think.
No, show's over with.
I might. It's been a while. Is it time for that already?
We're there.
And it feels like it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah, where have you been?
We
I
didn't
might
talk
have to start giving you a hard time like I was Matthew.
I've been gone since before convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On this show anyway.
Yeah.
The timing just hasn't been right. And,
Yeah, you didn't even get to do the convention show with us.
I know.
Yeah, I just realized that.
It's
It's
cool.
been
I get it. You've got more important things to do than hang out with us. So
It's
it's fine. I understand.
Oh, the old guilt trip model.
Apparently.
When expectations are settled and we all know where they're at, everybody's better for it. So thank you. I'm glad you're here though.
You're welcome. I'm
Look, we love Matthew, but it's good to have the OG crew. And
That's
for
right.
sure.
I've learned that we have a new name now. It's Ruggedized McMahon and the Podcast Boys.
And the podcast boys, I forgot about that.
It
Damn
sounds like we
right.
sound like a band.
Yeah, yeah.
Ruggedized Mac
Ruggedized and the Podcast Boys.
and the podcast boys. I have not quit hearing the podcast boys since that came out.
I like it
before
It
Christmas.
works. It's got a good
Anyway,
ring to it.
before I get started with the questions, by your request, you're an idiot. So,
I said, call me an idiot. didn't I?
That's
I'm
very
sorry,
direct.
We're done with that whole
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
We're done with that whole thing. I take it back.
That's funny. Oh,
But
I am.
We'll see if you make it through this okay.
All right.
Because it's time once again for
Haven't heard that in a while.
It's back.
Haven't heard that in a long time. I missed it more than I thought I did.
I've been saving it for you.
Thank you. I
So-
appreciate it.
But I figured you guys I learned a lot over the holidays.
Yeah.
I've been saving this one.
You've been
Yeah.
taking notes. I
have.
see.
I
Okay.
have. It's kind of out of season for it already.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look outside, it feels like it.
Yeah.
So, and I thought about saving it all the way to December, but I don't want to.
Okay.
Like
And I
next
promised,
December.
I promised,
Or this-
yes,
yeah.
this coming
This
December,
coming
which would be
December,
12
actually.
months away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I promised somebody I would ask you guys this.
Okay.
All right.
All right. What do elves put on their hands when they're dirty?
When they're dirty.
Snow.
I don't know.
Any guesses?
No. No. Yeah. Gloves.
Soap.
Sanitizer.
I was trying to get
sanitizer.
something with hand sanitizer. and
Yeah.
I couldn't get the.
That comes to us from former President Rich Hillman. He wanted to
That's
make sure
Pretty good.
he was riddling me before we started his final speech, and so
yeah.
I've been saving that
You've
one.
been saving that one. Well, I'm glad you did. Rich,
We're
you
gonna
got
have to get
us.
Rich on the show. I bet that was.
Well, you know what's
I bet
funny?
that's why he sent you that.
Hey,
so he
you know
He's got more.
You know this has been a thing
I know. I've heard.
that Dan was telling him that he came on the show and he's like,
Yeah, Dan was
they
poking the bear.
never had me on.
Mhm.
Rich said that. I think he's got a grudge.
President Wright told me the same thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, you can stop poking the bear, Dan.
Yeah, come on. Don't call him and bragging because you're on the show when you know the man's never been on this show.
Yeah,
well.
we're going to have to get him on.
So we'll have to get him on.
It'll be fun. But all right. So, what gets wet while drying?
What gets wet?
A duck?
Oh, you're putting way too much thought into this.
Still duck season.
Drying. What gets wet while drying? I don't know. I'm lost.
A towel.
A towel.
Golly.
I had laundry in my head, but
I was
couldn't
nowhere
bring
close.
yeah, no.
Yeah. That was a good one.
So,
You're too practical. You think about the actual.
you disappoint me,
practicality.
ruggedized.
Ruggedized.
All right.
Yeah, I just, it's tough out there.
I have keys, but no locks. In space, but no rooms. You can enter, but you can't go outside. What am I?
I know it.
I don't know. Go ahead.
You're looking at it.
You?
There's one right in front of you.
Computer?
Keyboard.
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 Oh,
Very good.
wow.
Yeah.
I take back my former statement.
Thank
You're no
you.
longer an idiot.
Well, I
There
can
you go.
get sanitizer.
Argue about that all day.
Wait a minute.
But I don't want to get into that.
Let's back
I just
off
want you to repeat that question again.
Well, I thought I'd take it easy on you guys today.
No, repeat
It's
that
been
again.
quite a while.
I want to.
Oh, you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can better
All right.
understand it.
I have keys,
Yep.
but no locks.
Mm-hmm.
I have space, but no rooms. Look at him. Look at
Yeah,
his
he's
keyboard.
evaluating.
Is that a lock? Is that a lock? You
No.
can you can enter, but you can't go outside. What am I?
There you go. That's right.
Now,
Confirmation that the riddle you brought to the show
Yeah.
is accurate.
there you go.
Yeah, I can confirm that.
Well done. And, there is. I would argue that it's not entirely accurate because there is cap lock and there's number lock.
Well, he
so-
has an actual lock on his keyboard.
I can't tell if that's. Yeah,
These
I think that's
riddles
a
are
lot.
old.
It might be
Yeah,
a show.
I look. A standard keyboard, we'll say, it does not have a.
There you go.
Yeah.
Does not have a lock.
That's-
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know you're headed off to Salt Lake, so
Indeed,
I doubt you'll be able to be with us next week. Is
Well,
that- is
I'll
that
be
the
back in town, hopefully.
Oh, will you?
by then,
Okay,
so,
good. Well,
yeah,
shoot, don't
so,
let me send you off
yeah.
then. All right.
Hopefully so.
Well, come on down to the Spa City.
All right.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that wraps up the news for this week. Thanks for following along with the Arkansas iCast. We're grateful for you taking the time to watch and listen.
Remember, you can catch new episodes of the show every Thursday afternoon. Find video episodes on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the audio version wherever you listen to podcasts.
And make sure to subscribe and leave us a review when you have a few extra minutes. The Arkansas iCast is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau. I'm Jason Brown,
And I'm John McMahon.
and we'll see you next week.